So yeah, throughout this, if you have any questions about the program or anything, please just pop them into the chat and into the Q&A on the team settings. We'll go ahead and answer those questions after the presentation has finished. And I believe this is being recorded, so that way in case anyone missed it who signed up for it, they can view it later or review it if they need. So yeah, I'm Riley. I run the Industry Ready Graduate Program here at the Geological Survey of Western Australia. We just opened our applications for the 2028 cohort, so we do this quite a bit ahead of time. 2028 refers to the year that you'll actually be starting at the survey, not the year that we accept applications for. But hopefully we'll clear up any of those confusions throughout the chat. So yeah, with that, we'll get started. Just an acknowledgement of country. So here at DMPE, we respectfully acknowledge the Aboriginal people as being the traditional custodians of Western Australia. We acknowledge the enduring connection and Aboriginal people continue to share with the land, sea, and sky through both ancestral ties and custodianship to country. We pay our respects to elders both past and present and acknowledge the value brought to our department through the collective contribution of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across Western Australia. So going into it about the program, our main goal is to better equip graduates with practical skills and hands-on experience that they can then carry into industry and into the resource sector here in Western Australia. We do this by building up professional networks, giving them connections and opportunities not normally given in university settings. So we're really trying to push our graduates to have better critical thinking skills and really explore the different elements of geology that can really add to our resources sector. How do we do this? It's through 2 years of support through the Geological Survey of Western Australia. So the first year, and why we recruit so early, is because we want to make sure we can actually support you. During the first year, you will receive a stipend as well as tuition support while you finish the final year of your degree. So it will be either during your honors degree or the last year of your master's. And these are only eligible for Western Australian universities. So we'll give you support through tuition and a stipend during the last year of your studies. The second year, you come to the survey and you work for me, and I help to give you kind of exposure to the different geology fields we have here. So you'll be working here full time and paid, and that's broken down into different rotations. So 3 different core research projects that we'll go into a bit later. But other things that we do is expose you to all the amazing kind of work that we're doing. So whether that be working with WA on some of our geophysical data sets, or even if you want to work with me in the research aspect and look at metamorphic rocks, you can also do that too. So throughout the program, you'll also actively participate in our fieldwork. I help support you going to conferences. We do workshops and other professional development opportunities. And I'll go more into a few examples of those in just a bit. The overall goal between the rotations, this support during your final year of your studies, as well as through the year at the program with me, is to better develop understanding of the regulatory environment and the role of the department in supporting sustainable and globally competitive our globally competitive resources sector. So everything we do here is to build up your skills to make you a really valuable member in the resources sector, and also advocate for our amazing geoscience data sets and the work we do. So it really is a beneficial program for both us as the survey and for you as a participant and for industry as well. So the first year, just to go into that a little bit more, because again, it's a unique grad program in the sense that we support you before you even come into our doors and work for us. So the first year, you get a stipend, which is paid in 4 allotments throughout the year. The amount of the stipend you'll get depends on your degree type, as well as your expenditure in tuition. So the lower end number reflects the support you would expect if you're an honors student. So the stipend would be $35,000 over the first year of your degree, first year of the program, which again is when you're in your university degree still and completing it. You would also expect expenditure funds. So this can be used to support your research work. So maybe you need some more analysis or SEM time to screen zircons or something on your honors thesis. This money can be used towards that. And I'll go into a couple other examples of how that expenditure has been used in the past in the next slide. The final thing we cover is tuition. So if an honors degree is something you're hesitant about participating in or doing for financial reasons, we help that burden by covering up to $12,000 of your honors degree or $20,000 of your master's degree during that final year, if you're accepted into the program. So it's a really, really great and unique package of support we give you during that final year. On top of all the financial support, I annoy you with emails and opportunities of ways to spend that expenditure fund, whether it be a 3D modeling workshop, a conference on the East Coast, or even doing field work. So a few examples of that support. I'll just go over our current cohort here. Our first one is Neil. I'll get my laser pointer going, so apologies. So our first example is Neil. So he was able to go to South Africa on an economic geology field trip. And the picture cuts it out, but he was holding actually a python. So I don't know how that was geology related, but other things he did were touring some of the underground mines in South Africa and learning about the ore deposits around there. I think he even went to the Bushveld complex down in South Africa. So that's pretty cool. Ella, the graduate in the middle, she did field work in the Solomon Islands, and that fieldwork was supported fully by us here at GSWA because of the program. So we were able to help fund her flights and her accommodation so that way she could do field research. She also got her field clothes and equipment to help support her and make the best of her time there. So the work that she did on the Solomon Islands and the fact that she got to collect her own samples is really cool. And she wouldn't have been able to do that without the funding from this program. Our last graduate, Jane, went to Margaret River on a field trip. So we got her some gear as well as help support her in other ways. But that way she can make the most of the trip and not worry about those extra expenditures that may come up. So there's a lot of options for that expenditure fund, whether it be workshops through your university or through other public workshops that happen in Perth that usually have quite a hefty price tag. This is a really great use of those funds. During your second year, where you come and work for me, as I mentioned, you'll be doing it in 3 rotations. So while you're here throughout the year, we break it into rotations. These are about 4 months long, sometimes a little shorter, sometimes a little longer, depending on what else is going on. But we break these down into 2 core rotations that we try to kind of capture what we do at GSWA and instill those skills onto you. And then an elective rotation. But most rotations end up being some sort of valuable core skill that you take along. As far as admin, we do a lot of training and OH&S. We work on career planning. So there's some workshops I do that are specifically for you where it's a one-on-one networking and CV workshop. So we make sure that you not only get great skills and learn all these amazing things, but that you know how to talk about them in your interviews and you see the greater implications some of these skills have. So it'd be great, for example, learning IRGP and looking at geochemical data sets, but if you can't explain why that's important and how, that might help look for ore deposits, it's a bit of an unnecessary skill. So making sure you really sell yourself and show how great you are is another big thing we work on here within this grad program. You also have the normal leave types. You can work here at Mineral House, which is in the city, or at our amazing core library, which is in Carlisle. And a couple extra skills we do on top of all that is making sure you get some great field work in. The last season, we went to the Nair terrain for 3 weeks, and that was a personal highlight for me as far as being a part of the program. There's also other workshops, short courses. I think I have a list later on. Conferences, so any conferences that are geology related that happen in Perth, we try to make sure you guys go there to practice those great networking skills that we're hoping to build for you for the rest of your career. A couple examples of the rotation types or projects you can go in. I won't go into all of them, and this is by no means inclusive of everything we do. There's so many other projects and things you could be working on, but a couple of the core rotations we consider are learning data management. So working with those big data sets and figuring out how exactly we can help use them to figure out problems. And we also try to incorporate core analysis. So we like to use our core library facilities and show you not just that they're impressive and store a lot of rocks, but we actually want to look at the rocks too. Other things, field geology, I think the geological survey is an excellent program or an excellent institution when it comes to field geology. So instilling those skills further is something we like to do in some of our projects, as well as what we do with exploration and mineral systems. So looking at them from a data standpoint and as a government agency to show you ways you can maybe use that and instill that in industry. Other things you can do, again, it's not limited to this list, but you can do things with zircon geochronology, geophysics with our amazing WA array program, analytical geoscience, geochemistry, looking at abandoned mines and tailings piles, energy geoscience, and also land use and planning. So if you're more interested in the legislative side, we have things that we can work on with you there too. Just a few examples from some of our 2025 rotation outcomes. So I won't read through all of these, but I'll just go with Max's. So Max started with the geological storage and geothermal systems team here, and he looked at regional aquifers to see the connectivity between them. So he worked a lot with WellCAD and looked through the well logs, as well as learning some things like stiff diagrams to see the composition of the fluid changes between these to test for aquifer connectivity. And this work was then handed over to his manager, and they were able to finalize these findings into a report. So it's not just busy work we're having you guys do, it's like real data science and research that we just don't have enough time to do ourselves. The grads get to pick up and have a fun play with it. His second rotation was working with the critical mineral systems team as well as GDI, and GDI is our geoscience data integration team, which is one of the newer ones, but they look at our systems and try to modernize and make them more efficient and easier to use and access. He worked with those two teams and he learned how to use IRGP and learned a bit about our granite classification schemes. And then he used his new developed Python skills to see if he could replicate some of those data clusterings and classifications using machine learning in Python. And it turns out he wasn't able to, but that knowledge just shows how in-depth and how, I guess, robust some of our classifications can be. Moving forward, just to go over some of the key outcomes we hope we can instill on any of our graduates. Our main goal is that you contribute to our applied geoscience, feel a part of the program, and really understand what GSWA can be to industry and what we can hopefully add to your career by teaching you some of the skills and some of the data management styles we have. We teach you practical skills that will give you an edge up in industry. So learning things like Python, IRGP, and getting better at ArcGIS. All these things are skills that are really important in industry and applicable to most fields. We show you field work. We go to our Kalgoorlie office. We also make sure, again, you know how to talk about the new skills that you've gained and how those can actually help in industry. And yeah, it's a really great and fun program to be a manager of and be a part of. Just a few other things. So as I mentioned, we have rotations, but we do a lot more than just rotations. So we do a lot of fun things and conferences because we are able to support the grads through all of this. So some of the external workshops we've done are those ArcPro training ones, but also learning structural geology and geophysics. So we did a really great course a couple of years ago where we learned how to interpret structural geology from those crazy colorful geophysical maps and get better inferences about the geology from them. We do sedimentary core logging and a structural geology from drill core workshop as well, first aid training, four-wheel drive training, geodynamic modeling, 3D modeling, Python for geoscientists. The list is honestly endless for all these things, both internal and external. But again, it just depends on what each graduate wants to do that year. I get to help plan and make those kind of wish list items come true. If you have a need for it when you're in my program, I try to make sure we fulfill that need as far as your geology training goes. Other professional development opportunities at the conferences we attend does vary by year, depending on what's available and what's going on within Perth and within Australia. This year, we were able to have one of our graduates attend the Australian Earth Sciences Convention in Melbourne, and she even got to present her honors work there. And we were able to fully support that through the program. So it's a great opportunity to show off what you're doing from the first year into the second and also network and meet other people. The graduates just attended the International Symposium on mafic ultramafic systems, long title, but great conference. And they will be attending the pegmatite conference in Perth in just a little bit here. I think it's in September, but I could be wrong. Other things, if you're more interested again in that legislative side of geology, there's also Science Meets Parliament, but again, these will vary year by year. Another highlight we do is going to our Kalgoorlie offices, which not many people know we have an office there, but we go there and talk with our geos to better understand the amazing gold deposits of the Eastern Goldfields. So yeah, if you're wondering what our success rate is, our first cohort of graduates were all employed before the end of the year, which is a dream come true for me and makes me so happy as their boss. So one is currently working at GMPE. He was a geophysicist and now he works here as a geophysicist. So that was a really cool opportunity for him. The other two are successfully placed in industry, one at MinRes and one at Astral Resources in Kalgoorlie. Currently, our second cohort, so the 2026 one, they're all within the department right now. So we're kind of looking at those different programs and seeing what would be the best options for them. But just to review, two of them were from Curtin. They were doing their honors degrees, and one was a master's student from UWA. And our 2027 cohort, who's currently in their first year of the program, so they're finishing up their degrees. We have an honors student from UWA and two Curtin University students, a master's and an honors. So it really does depend on the year and the cohort what kind of group we get. But yeah, just going into it, our applications are now open and they close at 4 p.m. on Thursday, August 20th. A little bit more, probably what's more interesting to everyone here is what we're looking for. So the people that we want in this program. We want people who are really passionate about geoscience and have that big curiosity towards, or just a curiosity in general for the science. I think something that can be hard with normal grad programs or with academia is that you can get pigeonholed really, really quickly and you're not able to explore as much as maybe you want to. So maybe you start liking geochemistry, but you have that inkling in the back of your mind that, ooh, geophysics is kind of cool. I want to see if I can do that. This program is something that those people really thrive in, I've noticed, is that they have that curiosity and they have a willingness to learn, and that's really easy to work with. We also really want people who really want and desire a career in the resources sector, specifically within WA. It's what our economy is largely based on. So if we're able to get those grads, let them explore those curiosities and then send them into industry with that, we think it'll really drive resource innovation and make your career in the WA resources sector that more fulfilling and meaningful. A couple things about applications is make sure to include all the documents required. So that's an official academic transcript, and it does have to be official, and some sort of proof of enrollment or confirmation for your intention to enroll in that honors or second year of your master's degree. So making sure you just have those official documents. It was really easy to miss those, but make sure you have everything official and what we're asking for. As far as your CV and resume, please include your education, relevant employment, volunteer work, and other recent experience. So things that really, not just kind of the base ones, but make sure you're showing everything that you're doing. We try to get a good grip of who you are. We hope you can present your information clearly and professionally. Again, no late applications will be accepted. So please make sure and mark on your calendars if you are interested in the program to apply by 4 p.m. on Thursday, August 20th. And as far as the cover letter, make sure you address each of the following prompts, but I really can't reiterate enough. Please let your enthusiasm and your passion shine. And you don't have to be like screaming off the rooftops in your cover letter, like everything with an exclamation point. We still keep it professional, but really, if there's something that excites you about geology and that you think can thrive through this program or you have an experience in, let yourself shine and have that excitement show through. We want you to be more personable than machine kind of writing. We want to make sure you're interested in the program for the right reasons. So when you're answering questions like, why are you applying for the graduate program? How your career aspirations align with the resource sector? Make sure to use personal examples for each of those, because that's the best way we get a feel for who you are before even interviewing you. Just to read through the other questions is tell us about your research experience and what excites you about science. So again, what is it that you want through this program? Is it just to make $100 million in the future, or is it because, no, I really am interested in geology and rocks and seeing where I can make a difference? Last one, just to read through it. the knowledge and skills that you've developed through your studies, explain some employment, volunteering, or other experiences, including examples of effective communication and stakeholder engagement. So just tell us a little bit of how you're able to communicate some of those passions to a different audience as well. And that's all for me. We can get to the questions if there are any. Really excited to see who applies and see how we can help you shape your career. So yeah, if there are any questions, I will stop sharing my screen so I can look through the chat. You can also email me if you have any questions. Oh, we have a question. Do you have a preference on if you're an honors or master's degree, and if those projects are related to the resources industry? I do not have a preference, and our program does not have a preference if your projects for your honors or your master's degree are related to industry. You just need to be enrolled in that honors or master's. We've had people do projects on really random stuff. So this cohort is doing one on structural geology measurements and trying to figure out some Proterozoic timing of structures and deformation. So to answer your question shortly, no, do not have to have the degree be the research focused on the resources industry. And we don't give preference to that. As long as you show proof of enrollment for that, you're good. That ended up being the long answer. So hopefully that answered your question, Jessica. Yeah, so a couple of the other projects, since I did go over that quickly, we have a really great data. So every single one of our graduates will go through the data integration team, so that GDI team, and they'll work with them to not only learn Python, but use those Python skills and apply them to some of our larger data sets, because some of them have not been updated or modernized in a really long time. So we'll have the data, it's just sitting there in this really old-fashioned kind of toolbox, and they'll use Python to either modernize the toolbox or make it more searchable. So one example of a project we've been doing is, or one of our grads has done, is using machine learning to create random clusters of well log data. So at first they had to go through WellCAD and select wells that had coal horizons. And now what they've been doing is correlating the coal horizons and clustering them using machine learning. So they used random forest techniques. Cool, we have another question. It says, I've been working on a Python application that automatically processes satellite images looking at land surface temperature. Would you say that's relevant experience for geoscience, and would there be similar work at GSWA? I would say absolutely, that is very good for geoscience. We have a whole basins team as well as an energy geoscience team that look at things like satellite images and different surface temperatures. That's definitely relevant for GSWA, and if you wanted to continue work like that. So that technical approach is definitely applicable. We do geophysics, different airborne techniques. There's spatial analyst tools using GIS and Python, and it also can help with developing workflows and automating geoscience data sets. So definitely applicable and definitely something you can continue doing and adding those skills to here at the survey. Definitely highlight stuff like that in your cover letter as well. So using real world experiences that you have in your cover letter really help people stand out, as well as on your CV. Yeah, that sounds like a really cool project and like something you could definitely continue doing here, or even using your skills and apply it somewhere else to advance other people's data sets. I can keep talking about other projects that some of our grads have done or other work they've done. We have one currently. She did her first rotation working with high-logger data sets and our new high-logger 4, where we can now look at the mid-infrared spectra. So it has the full wavelength of different data sets. And looking at the mid-infrared spectra, she's been able to figure out a couple anomalies related to dolomites versus carbonates and telling those apart. Traditionally, that's really hard to do with high-logger. They have really, really similar spectra signals. So it's a light spectroscopy where it uses different light spectroscopies when you're scanning the core to figure out the different signals, and each of those signals can relate to different rock types, different minerals, things like that. And she's amazing and smart and figured out how to use the mid-infrared spectra to tell those things apart. So that's one project she worked on. And then she started her second project building on those high logger skills and data set things she's worked on to compare some of our drill core to well logs to see if there's a way to correlate those to better fill in stratigraphy of areas that are a bit harder to get drill core in now. I think she's working in the Perth Basin currently, looking between a ton of different high logger data sets and well logs to correlate some of those stratigraphy horizons. Another one of our graduates this year, Neil, he did his first rotation with that geoscience data integration team, so GDI, looking at, again, learning Python, learning those coding skills, learning how to read, edit, and write code, using that to then test our data compatibility in a 3D modeling software called Loop 3D. That one's marketed as a 3D software where you can just plug in a bunch of data sets, roughly cleaned up in some format, and produce a 3D model. So based on his work, he's seen the compatibility of our data sets and how well those work. While we didn't produce a 3D model, we are more capable of using that program now and seeing what type of data best to use and feed into programs. He's currently working with WA on a second rotation. So he's looking at different cross sections of some of that seismic data to see how deep in the depths different structures go to within cross sections from our geophysical data sets. Yeah, I'll thank Sabrina for moderating and helping out with this. If you haven't seen her popping in the questions or anything, she's behind the scenes reminding me what to say and how to help all of you. So just thank you to Sabrina for helping organize this session and recording it and making it available for everyone. I guess we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all for attending so much and for your questions. Please feel free to email me. This video will be uploaded to YouTube, so if there's anything you want to refer back to about project types or any little tips or tricks, hopefully you'll be able to watch it there to refresh your memories. But yeah, to anyone applying, best of luck. I really look forward to seeing everyone's applications and what kind of amazing people we get this year. So yeah, thank you for attending and thank you again, everyone. Bye.